Hello. I'm doing okay. How are you? Well, I wanted to have a chance for people to participate in a interactive way and talk about what's coming up rather than just having to read the news that I posted. So I was hoping that this would be a good way to do that. Looks like there's just the two of us at the moment. We'll see if anybody else joins, but in the meantime, okay. Well, this week is kind of a review of the first 8 chapters. There is a quiz over chapters 1 through 8 that you can take between now and the 24th. So that's next Tuesday night, I think. And there will be a chapter 8 assignment, which it's possible you did in the C++ course, the word and letter count program. Okay. So do you have any questions about chapter 1 through 8 or okay. Yeah, you gotta flush out some of that C# stuff and reload the C++. Looks like Mr. Fisher has joined us. I think we're getting a little feedback. You might see if you can adjust your volume. I'm still getting a little feedback. Okay. Okay, maybe you can you turn your mic on and off when you need to participate, or okay. All right, well, we were just talking about the first assignment and the first quiz, which is over chapters 1 through 8. And I was asking if there were any questions about that first assignment or the first quiz. Basically, we're reviewing right now, so. I think there are 5 signed up. So I'm expecting the other 3 to participate. They're all names that I recognize from other classes recently, so it should, hopefully, everybody will be showing up and doing the work. Chapter, I can kind of skim through the topics from the first 8 chapters. Basically, the first chapter was just a general overview of computers and computer languages, and then how C++ is different. Then in chapter 2 we had some of the basics, how to do input and output and calculations, and some simple flow control. Chapter 3 was about a lot of different kinds of flow control, so loops and multi-way branches. Chapter 4 we talked about procedural abstraction and writing and having functions that can return values. Then we, in chapter 5, we talked about writing our own functions. So doing functions for our own work and void functions to do work that doesn't return values. Then in chapter 6 we talked about I/O streams and used those as an introduction to objects and classes. Chapter 7 was about arrays and ways that we could use arrays. And chapter 8 was about strings and vectors. And the assignment we're doing out of chapter 8 is one that I typically assign to my regular C++ class as well, but it is a pretty good representation of string processing, and arrays as they relate to string processing. So what we could do is talk about a solution for or how we would approach a solution for the first assignment. If you've taken a class from me before, you know how I set up the online classroom. The assignment is in the content section. Assignment 1 is chapter 8, number 2. We're in the problem solving with C++, 8th edition. I think the picture I've got on the online classroom is the 7th edition. We're in the 8th edition. And that problem number 2 is on page 486 and 487. Obviously I will want an exe file and a source code file, CPP file, for each assignment. I'm going to go ahead and share my Visual Studio screen. And let's get rid of some of this stuff left over from the previous class. All right, so if we have the assignment says write a program to read in a line of text and input the and output the number of words in the line and the number of occurrences of each letter. Okay, so, and a word is any string of letters delimited at each end by either white space, period, comma, or the beginning or end of the line. Okay, so we'll have letters, white space, commas, and periods. I usually challenge students to also handle numeric digits and handle other punctuation besides what's listed here, which is a white space, period, comma. So, do we have any ideas about how you would go about approaching this problem? Okay, so we could use a traditional array, although we know that the string class can be treated like an array. So that would be, we wouldn't necessarily have to put it into a separate array. Okay, so if we put in a string here and called it input text or something like that, we're going to need to get that. I'm going to say we probably want to do this in a repeatable way because we frequently do like to repeat these tests. So let's say do and then while input text length greater than 0, for example.